Welcome to the Handmade Diary Podcast, brought to you by Craft Savvy Market. Today's episode is hosted by Jande
and Charlene,
two of the co-founders of Craft Savvy Market.
Hi, everyone. At Craft Savvy Market, our mission is to connect handmade makers with customers through craft market events in the Atlanta area. We are four friends who love crafting together, and we decided to create a business that would help other handmade makers soar. Since launching in 2017, we've brought our mission to life through curated craft markets, online conferences, and powerful digital resources.
On today's podcast, we will be talking about top ways you are leaving money on the table as a handmade business. So Charlene, as a handmade business owner who has been in the game for a long time, why do you think handmade vendors should care about this topic?
Well, John, this topic is near and dear to my heart because I feel like sometimes you get so busy in business, you're making the product, you're figuring out your next market. It's easy to not be intentional and leave money on the table with some things that are pretty straightforward in terms of getting more sales for your handmade business. I think as creatives, it's easy to be all over the place. So I think this topic is a big deal in terms of just having a checklist to be able to say, am I getting the most possible sales, the most possible customer exposure by being intentional in this area of my online business? So it's a big deal. None of us want to leave money on the table.
Yep. Sometimes we don't know any better, and so we don't do better. Sometimes we're trying to figure it out. And so today's episode is aiming to empower you as a handmade maker to get all your coins. Do not leave them on the table. So with that said, we're going to get into our list. Number one way that you might be leaving some money on the table is by not using your email newsletter as a lead. So hopefully by now you've heard it all over the internet streets that you need an email newsletter as a business owner. So we want to use that newsletter as our first point. But consider those customers who are interested in your business, customers who are interested in your product. They want to hear from you because they signed up to communicate with you and to keep up with your business. So you want to use them first when you're running a sale, when you're popping up somewhere. That should be your first go-to for leads in terms of these are the people I want to see at my event. These are the people I want to go back to my website and purchase what I am putting on sale. So use your email newsletter as your number one lead because they have already expressed interest in your business. They have expressed interest in your products. Do not leave them out there in the cold. Okay, so you want to use them.
Absolutely. That is a big one. And I think everybody remembers like when Instagram froze up like for a day a few months back and everyone was freaking out. We don't own these platforms. So email is gold. The number two way that I would say that we leave money on the table is not taking advantage of abandoned cart apps and functionalities. I know I use Shopify and there's different apps within Shopify that help you follow up with the customer. Shopify sees that they were on your website. Maybe they put something in the cart. There's so many reasons people can abandon their cart. Maybe, they went to go find their credit card out of their purse and they decided to get a sandwich. Maybe the child came in the room and they were fighting. But there's a lot of reasons someone might abandon a cart, and it doesn't mean they don't want your item. Maybe they just need a little nudge. They need a little follow-up. So if you're not doing it already, I strongly encourage you to make sure you have some sort of abandoned cart function. I believe mine was through MailChimp. So I integrated MailChimp with Shopify. And then I think it was like within minutes after the person abandoned the cart, it'd be like, hey, Susie, you left this great item in your cart. Do you want to get it? So that is really a great way to not leave money on the table. Make sure you're using that abandoned cart function.
That is good stuff. All right. So way number three, you might be leaving money on the table is by not checking your statistics on your popular posts or reels. So whether you're using TikTok for your posting, you're using Facebook for your posting, or Instagram, you have ways to get details about how each post performed. And so you should be doing that on Instagram. I know that would be your insights. So it tells you how many times, for instance, a reel, how many times was that viewed? How many people interacted with it? So you want to look at that because that gives you an idea of which content your audience seems to be connected to, which content they like. And so you want to ideally promote more of that content. If they seem to be interacting with you more when you do certain types of content, then you want to go with that. And you want to, not to say that that will be the only content you produce, but maybe you want to consider producing more of that type of content. I know for Craft Savvy Market, one of the things that we started doing was a prayer, a post that integrates a prayer, which is based on our faith. And we got a lot of positive responses on those posts. We got a lot of positive responses. And so that lets us know that our audience is interested in posts that encourage their faith as they grow their business. So that's just one example. Another way that you might be leaving money on the table is depending on one avenue for your sales income. You're only depending on one avenue for your sales income. So for instance, you do not only want to depend on one particular brand pop-up markets, right? So you want to expand your reach. You want to look into, are there other people who host markets that are a good fit for my business? Additionally, how can I make my website better? That's another stream of income. If you are a business that can do something on Etsy, of course, if you're a handmade business, then that means you qualify for Etsy. So could you expand your store to do an Etsy store? Or are there other places that you can use to, again, not limit your income, not only depend on one stream of income? So for instance, pre-pandemic, whatever you want to call it, right? Many of us, myself included, I was only doing pop-ups. That's my major way of doing business was pop-ups. But after this definitely showed us that pop-ups were impossible. So what were we going to do? We were going to have to think quickly. We were going to have to pivot and figure out a new way to reach our customers. So keep an open mind of how you can reach your customers in different ways and don't get stuck in one avenue. So Charlene is going to take us through our next couple of points. Charlene?
Yeah, so definitely don't want to get stuck depending on one channel because things can switch up. And this next way that we leave money on the table is kind of similar, but really around depending on one mode of marketing and just kind of being all your eggs in one basket. I know I'm very guilty of this. Certain times, it feels like Instagram is king and oh man, I've got to take care of Instagram. But the truth is, your customer is a lot of different places. Maybe they're not on the gram. Maybe they're taking a break from social media. Maybe they forgot to check their email. So it's really important to reach out to them a lot of different ways. I know for me right now, I've been trying to focus more on ads, just recognizing that, hey, there's a lot of noise out there and that I'm going to have to do some different things to get my business and my brand in front of my customers. So I think it's really important to have a mix, whether you're doing pop-ups, whether you're working with influencers, you're doing a little bit of TikTok, you're doing Instagram, definitely doing your email newsletter like John did mention, but you want to make sure that you're coming at your target customer a lot of different ways. Another reason this is important is because the word is it takes like 7 reaches or 7 attempts before someone makes a purchase decision. So if you're depending on one marketing mode, they might not get as many hits as compared to they got an email from you, they saw you on Instagram, maybe they saw an influencer wearing your earrings, and then somewhere else you pop up on a blog post. I mean, Dad, at this point, they're in love with you. So I think definitely you want to diversify your marketing mix and not be so dependent on one way of marketing, end up leaving that money on the table. Number 6, if you're taking notes, that has been a big deal for me, and I think all of us in Craft Savvy Market, it's just having a business mindset. A lot of us work. We have other jobs. We're parents. We're spouses. We're active in other things. And it's easy for your business to become kind of the redheaded stepchild where you do it where you feel like it. And I know that a lot of the growth in my business has come from me being intentional And what does that look like? Whipping out those goals. Like, okay, this is my goal for the quarter. I'm not there yet. What am I going to do to hit this goal? Okay, what am I going to launch in the fourth quarter of this year? What's my launch plan? Because if I'm trying to blow up for the holidays, I probably don't need to start developing those products in October, right? So I think just, really having a business mindset versus, oh, it's a side hustle. It's that thing that I do when I feel like it. If you are in the mode of this is a business, I'm going to grow this thing. It has potential and I'm going to treat it accordingly. I think you'll see a lot different results. And I know I can say for myself that when I've taken my business seriously and said, hey, this is $1 million business and I'm going to run it like $1 million business, I get really, really different results. So all comes with mindset. You guys know that is half the battle. What's between our ears is like, whether you think you can, you think you can't, hey, whatever the case is true, right? So we got to be intentional about growing our business. And yeah, you definitely won't leave money on the table if you run your business that way.
This is good stuff. I'm taking notes for myself. So I hope you have your pen and your paper together. Replay this podcast if you need to get this information. So the number 7 way you might be leaving money on the table is by not sharing your business information on your personal page, right? And I am guilty of that. So sometimes we have a personal page and we talk about what we choose to talk about in the personal page, but then we forget that I'm also a business owner. And if somebody cares about me and they're following me on the personal side, even if they may not necessarily purchase my product right away, they can at least follow my page. They can at least like my post. Hey, those are all boosting my presence on the internet street. So if they follow me, I should tell them, hey, follow my business page. Hey, I have a sale going on my page. You always like what I'm wearing. Here you go. Now you can go to my business page and support that. So don't depend on them as your only customer market, but don't discount the people who follow you personally. I think most people in your life want to see you succeed. They want to support you. They want to encourage you. So make sure that you share. And I'm not saying you have to be spammy and do it every single day, but every now and then, often, you should just remind them, hey, I have a business. Go check it out. Go support it and show me some love there. So, Charlene, what's your next topic?
I love that one. I just want to second it. I think you'd be surprised at how many people who are friends, former coworkers want to support you and they don't even follow your business page. So I have a lot of people say, oh, I didn't know you were still doing this, or I didn't know.
That's crazy.
And it's like, yeah, I definitely want that person's support. So very good tip, John Day. Number 8 that we want to share with you is making sure your website is working the way it should be working, right? And this one is easy because a lot of times we set up our website and it's like fix it and forget it. And I know a couple of times customers have come up to me and said, is this item sold out? Or I can't pick the color that you showed on Instagram. And I'll see like the little app for the color is broken and it's like, whoops. So it's really important to shop your own website as a consumer to just make sure that, your checkout is working the way you think it should work, and that, you're not asking someone for like their birthday, where they were born. You just really want to make sure it's flowing and there aren't any hiccups. People talk a lot about making the shopping experience frictionless and easy. So you don't want to be out here with a really confusing or weird setup on your website that is keeping people from giving you money. These people want to give you money, make it easy for them. So super important, audit your website. I'd say probably at least every quarter, just to make sure everything is flowing the way you think it's flowing. Just kind of step outside of yourself and say, if I were a customer, is this a good experience? So definitely want to do that. Make sure that the store is clicking and doing what it's supposed to do.
That's a good point. Now, I wonder if I don't have my own website. Let's say I'm using an Etsy or some third party to sell my goods. How would that apply to me? Because I'm using a third party, so maybe I'm not necessarily making things work on the website. What would I need to do if I'm like on a third party site?
I think it's so relevant. I think that even your copy, you can look at your copy and kind of audit it, or your images to say, are these images serving me? And maybe you have a buddy sit next to you and just pull up your Etsy store and, just kind of observe where they get stuck or where it's like, that's confusing, and just have them audit the page for you. So I think yes, on Etsy, you can't control as much of the back end or maybe like the shopping. And I know those guys don't play around. I mean, they're probably optimizing their own stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can have a buddy look at even the things that you can control to say, is this smooth? Is this seamless? Is this clear? Because I've had people look at my Etsy page and be like, girl, this is doing you no favor.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yeah, and then even with that, when we make like codes for sales, does the code work?
Yes.
It's nothing more frustrating as a purchaser. You're going somewhere, the person said, use this code, Craft Savvy Market 10. And then I'm typing in Craft Savvy Market 10 and it's still charging me the full price. So things like that are easy to overlook, we definitely can take a look at. And so I think this is our last point, right?
Yes,
our last point.
This is the last one. All of these have been great. I'm taking notes myself and enjoying these reminders. But the last one that I would share in terms of something that might hold you back from getting all of the sales and all the money that you deserve for your amazing handmade product is just really getting comfortable sharing your brand and what you do with strangers. I can't tell you how many times people will come up to me, I sell clothing, and they'll be like, oh, I like your dress, or I like your skirt. And I'll be all bashful, like, thank you. And, I've had a good buddy, her name is Donna. She'd kind of glare at me and like, this is the point where you tell them you made it and you give them the website. And, I explained to her, I didn't want to seem salesy or weird. And she's like, think about it. The person like what you have, you're doing them a disservice by not telling them how to get it. So if you understand people compliment you because they like those earrings, they like your head wrap, why would you not share that information with them? That is literally a service. And, if they act weird, that's on them. But, you don't be the one to miss that opportunity and not take advantage of it. So, yeah, get comfortable. If you need to carry cards, just to maybe try handing the person the card versus saying your business pitch. But definitely want to take advantage of that when people stop you. It's not because they just want to make conversation. They like what you have.
That's good.
Show them how to get it.
And that made me think about, the four of us are Liberian, and in Liberia, we have a saying called dry face. So that means that you have to feel no kind of way about saying what you have to say or promoting if you have to promote. So you have to put on your dry face and just say what you need to say. You know what? I have a business and I sell this. Here you go. You can check it out and you might find a piece you like, or go ahead and recommend, I have a pink set that I think you will look really, really good in. Here you go. So that's called dry face. So we want to share that thinking with you. Adopt the dry face mentality. I'm going to have dry face, and tell people about my business.
I think we have another saying for that. You can't eat crab with shame.
That's good.
There's no clean way to eat crabs. Just eat the crab. Go ahead and get your sales. Don't try to be cute about it. And your sales will benefit from it. So for sure, guys, let's get over the bashfulness and get our businesses, let them grow and get the word out.
This is really, really good. So we want to just recap quickly what we talked about today on the Handmade Diary podcast. Today, we explored 9 ways you are leaving money on the table in your handmade business. 9 ways we're doing that. So Charlene is going to recap the first 4, and then I'll do the last 5, and we will, again, get your notes. If you didn't get them, it's your time to get them now.
Yeah, so the first 4 that we shared: not using the email newsletter as a lead and to connect with your customers that will cause you to leave money on the table. Not using abandoned cart functions on your website to follow up on those customers that may have left the fish frying on the stove. You want to use abandoned cart to follow up with them. The third one we talked about was not checking your stats, not checking your metrics on popular posts and reels, so you can do more of that. So you definitely want to do that to build on what's been successful. And 4, you don't want to depend on one avenue for your sales income, whether it's pop-ups or just one online site. You want to diversify and have a lot of different ways for people to buy from you.
Yes. And our last 4 points we made today: don't be stuck in one mode of marketing. Look at, can I use ads? Can I use my email marketing? Look at all different avenues. Shift your mindset. Number 6 was shift your mindset about your business income. Don't look at your business as just something I do when I have time. If it is a business, treat it seriously. Treat it like a business, not necessarily a side hustle. And the 7th thing was to share your business on your personal page. Tell your friends, tell people who know you that you do have a business, and I'm sure they would love to support you. Number 8 was make sure your website is working the way you think it should. Check those codes, check all the different parts of it. Make sure someone can go through the process of selecting a product all the way to the finish line, and all of that stuff works. And then finally, get comfortable, get your dry face on. Don't eat your crab with shame. Go ahead and share your information with strangers who might compliment you, who might be looking at what you have. Go ahead and put your dry face on and do that. So thank you so much for joining us today for our Handmade Diary podcast.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This was a good one. Some of them I used, some of them I learned, and really, really good reminder to not leave this money on the table, because guys, there's no reason we can't scale our businesses. We can't grow these handmade businesses to be beautiful full-time businesses. So let's get it.
All right. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook at Craft Savvy Market. If you are not on our email list, be sure to go ahead and subscribe to us. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast. If you are a handmade business or you're considering starting a handmade business, we have a lovely community to support you, to encourage you on your handmade journey. So come on, be our friend. We want to see you soar and grow in your handmade business. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.